Hello, welcome to the Sovereign Magazine Show, a transformational experience where conscious conversations meet embodied wisdom. Each episode invites visionary healers, thought leaders, and change makers to share their journeys of awakening, offering listeners practical tools and soul-stirring insights to reclaim their inner authority. We have the amazing Heather Ruth here with us today. If you missed episode one, definitely go back. We talk about what is the cards of destiny and numerology and all sorts of fun things. But today we're going to be talking about what is a birth card or contract. But first, introduce yourself, my lovely.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. I'm Heather. I am a practitioner of numerology. This is like always changing. I'm a pattern recognition, energy strategist, and ultimately I'm a guide for people to return back to themselves with sovereign energetics.
Yep.
I'm gonna throw that word in there.
Yes.
Just some
Okay.
SEO going on. So what is a birth card? Well, we've all heard about astrology and astrological signs, or we have our constellations, those kinds of pieces. A birth card is in similarity to like your sun sign, for example. If you wanted to like reference it or give it like a comparison, I would say your birth card is the sun sign or your ascendant sign. Because in astrology, we are to become the ascendant, right? That's the whole purpose of understanding that. Your birth card is indicative of the contract your soul decided to live out in this lifetime. So it's the lessons it's supposed to learn. It's that kind of iteration of recognizing why we came to Earth during this time on the planet.
And do you use the deck of cards for this as well?
Yeah, so the
Okay.
destiny of cards, every day of every month has a card that is associated with it. So it's sort of like the overlay. So this does not change on the Gregorian calendar or whatever. It's like January 1st to December 31st. Every day has a card that's associated with it. So there'll be multiple people in the world that will hold cards like the Six of Diamonds. There'll be multiple people in the world that hold the card, the Queen of Clubs, for example. But because of their day, like where it's situated in it, there's going to be a different reverence. So it's like then associated to your month, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. So, like we said in the previous, those 52 cards represent the 52 weeks. But then you break it down every month, there's a layer of cards that we go through, contracts that we come here to live out. I personally hold the Six of Diamonds birth card, birth contract, and it is about realignment with value. So I'm constantly in this state of realigning myself with the frequency of value, not just financial value, but what I value, how I value it, what's the frequency in that. And also, then I have a keen sense of what I owe people and what I am owed. This is
Reciprocity.
a debt relation process. So that's that flow, right? If so, someone with like my card, if you were operating on the like lower side of things, you might absolutely ignore your bills. Okay. I also talk about my unconscious self. When we're
Okay.
unaware of this information, someone carrying this contract will either overpay their bills and pay them early, just to give an example, or they'll completely ignore them and end up in the debt hole.
Mm, I'm super curious what November 15th is because my father-in-law overpays everything.
Overpays? Yeah,
I'm
like
like, dude, you're like 76. I'm not sure if you need to pay your car insurance like that far in advance.
no, and so a lot of diamonds, like if he carries a diamond November, you said
15th.
5th? Yeah,
15th.
15th. So he probably is carrying a diamond card of some sort. And so he's
Mm,
keenly aware of like what that outflow is and what that inflow is. And so it's about really understanding what makes you feel good. So for me, I now pay everything just on time.
mm,
I used to pay super early and then would get like in a weird trigger mode when I get the bill notification. I'm like, but it's already paid, right? It would trigger something. So that, or in my previous life or my previous way of being and my much more unconscious way of being, I would ignore.
mm.
and just I'll just deal with that another day. And it would be one of those things that I would ignore and just shove aside. And then it came back to bite me in the ass later on in my life because you can't always just ignore debt.
No, you
It
can't.
wants to be recognized and paid off. And so when you're coming back into realignment, it's what small changes that I have to make so that I could actually be good and a big steward of my money. So I had to come here to learn that piece.
Okay, I'm going to throw something
You
at you
bet.
because now I'm super fascinated since we're talking about bills. If anybody knows me, I love numbers. I love talking about money. It's like my most favorite thing, right? So when
Amazing.
I was in my 20s, probably until maybe I had my daughter, I would map out like paycheck to paycheck what my base rate would be and like pay everything for my honeymoon. I had everything planned out to the penny and which month, which paycheck it would come from. I mean, I was super organized, right? Well, and then I had my daughter and that all went away. And so now everything gets paid on time. Obviously, I mostly have everything on like auto payment, except I refuse to pay my mortgage on auto payment because I like to pay that early because then there's like the less
Yeah.
days and all that stuff,
Yeah, I
right?
get that.
But there's this energy of trusting that the money is always in there now versus before it was like, gotta make sure it don't bounce anything. And I always have floaters in the accounts to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But but I've tried to go back. Like I have a budget spreadsheet in the first of this year. I was trying to make sure it was all organized and what's coming out in February, March, and it's all in there. And then I lost it all again. So it's like here it is, April, and I haven't done it since like, I don't know, maybe end of February. I'll check
Yeah.
in every once in a while. But I was really interested more in like, is there overflow? Like, could I be saving more? Like, there was some interest, but now I just am like, whatever. So,
Yeah.
what
I
does
love
that
that.
say?
Well, what it tells me is that you were in hypervigilance around your the value of money and what you were bringing in. And so you were in that hypervigilance. So as long as you had that organized, you probably had some like four structure going on. It could be whatever year that was when you were really dialed in. It can also be a slight aspect of scarcity.
Yeah, probably.
When we're hyper vigilant around the money, and this is what I have found when I'm super hyper vigilant and I'm super paying way too close attention, it's like the money's not in play.
Mhm.
It's being treated as seriousness. But money
Mm.
wants to play. The frequency of money wants us to play with it. And so for me, one of the things I had to do to like understand that flow was I had to just start moving it around bank accounts
Mm. I
just
do
for
that.
fun. Once every
Mhm.
couple of like once or twice a week, I'll go in and I'll just shuffle money around. I'm not using it, I'm not trying to pay a bill. I'm just trying to let it know that it's in play in the world, that it's not just sitting and like stifling energetics. And so a
Mhm.
lot of diamond, even club people, because club is how we communicate. We also communicate through money. How we pay our bills is a way we communicate with the universe. So like, your father, you're, overpaying is that makes him feel good. He's overpaid. He's paid it way early. I don't now have to worry about it because I know I just took care of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right. So it allows the abundance to open up in a lot of different ways. So it could just be their own structure. And your father in line is actually a five of clubs, which makes sense because things could change. And so if I know it's paid, and if anything in that frequency changes along the way, I've already got that covered.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
change for them will play a very crucial role. And
That is
so,
very much him. Yeah.
yeah. And so with a birth card, that's where the life readings start to come in. Those are kind of like you can have a birth card reading. It's just like going to tell you some really generic things. We start to look at how you unfold in your lifetime. These are really important factors of like even our development. That's what I love about this system so much is it can really show us even in the human development as we grow, as we become adults, as our brain develops, what we're actually trying to understand in life. And that's then led by the planets.
Mm. And so when somebody's interested in trying to figure out their birth chart,
Mhm.
like I know with human design, you can go on and get a free chart. How does one figure out, or not birth chart, birth card, excuse me. How does one figure out their birth card?
Well, you can there's a really complicated calculation you can do. So there is a way of calculating to figure out your birth card digit, or there is a graph in which I don't know if I have it up on my website right now, but you can find it. It's on my Instagram that just
Oh,
basically has a map that says January to December 1 through 31, and it just shows you where the cards land per month.
oh,
But
okay.
the other way of doing it is how I was trained is quadrating the like life spread. And so really knowing that January 1st starts with the King of Spades, and then
Mm,
you work backwards from there. And so it goes
interesting.
spades, diamonds, clubs. And we won't see any like hearts until we get into the latter part of the year, but that's also when the spades start to disappear. We don't have that
Interesting.
same influence. Notice that just in your own habits, we come in through this mentality and conditioned belief around the new year, beginning new year, and we really think heavily around work, health.
Mhm, mhm,
That's
mhm,
because the spades are playing in action with us. They're all about up leveling our work, up leveling our health. We need to up level our health so that we can up level our work, so that we can
mhm,
like stay in that kind of mentality and formation. The diamonds
mhm.
and the clubs are the most active builders on the planet, right? They're really the majority of the contracts that we hold because they're smack in the middle of every month.
Mm, okay.
Okay.
I'm going to pause this and we're going
Yeah.
to find that chart. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. I found it. I went on Instagram and I found it. Okay. So for anyone, I'm trying to move my things. Here we go. So for anybody who's wanting to know what their card is, now you can see it. I'm very big on visuals. I'm going to look for mine here. I am the two of spades, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I'm two of spades. So what's that mean?
All right. So the two of spades. Okay. Well, first of all, you're here as a mirror and a reflector.
Hmm.
So when you want to
Okay.
think about it, whenever we're starting from like one is solo, it's singular. So it's just one. If you want to think of it as a person, it could be a tree in a forest. You start with one. Then the next iteration is the tree drops its seedlings and another tree comes up. And so now it has a reflective mirror. So twos are here as mirroring effects, as reflection of. Now, the two of spades, for instance, is much more about that reflection of your spiritual component. So, with tied into work, like you can't keep it separate, I would imagine that
Nope.
you are definitely always including spirituality into your work. So, you're here reflecting back to the world your higher self.
100%. 100%.
So,
Yes. And
as
everything I've ever done, my spiritual being has been present, whether that was in nursing
right.
or with Sovereign. That's very, very important. So for anybody who wants to follow you, here is your handle. You can definitely go on there. Okay, I'm going to stop that share because
Yeah,
I'm just so big on visuals because I know that if I was
absolutely.
watching this, I'd be like, no, why did
Yeah,
they
so
show
twos are all about
it?
reflection, mirroring back, right? Aces are all about self. So it's not to be selfish, but it just means that if you continue to keep yourself out of the equation, the lessons are going to keep repeating themselves until you put yourself first, put your oxygen mask on, essentially, and then you can take care of business.
So, what are diamonds? I just noticed my husband is a four of diamond and my daughter is an eight of diamond, which I find fascinating because I say that they are so much alike, but then so different. And the
Yeah,
fact
yeah.
that they're both diamonds and then the eight and the four, which four is half of eight, I'm like, there's got to be some significance.
Absolutely. Well, the Eight of Diamonds is actually a really important card to understand because it actually sits in the pinnacle spot in the life spread of this system. Basically, it means that your daughter is here to shine.
Oh, for sure. No doubt.
100%. She needs to understand her devotion to her value. And the more she's
Noted.
devoted to her value and like honoring whatever that is for her and making sure she's like the queen bee of her existence, essentially, she is here to sit at the top. So then she is this beautiful light that is going to share into the world what it means to value oneself, what it means to value your work, what it means to value pleasure, what it means to value devotion, right? So people ascend to try and get to that space. All the other cards want to sit where she sits at some point because this is recognition.
Oh my gosh, you just like named
Yeah.
her to a T. To a
Right. And
T.
so then your husband is going to be a lot more about grounded value. It's like the Four of Diamonds, thinking about it from a foundational standpoint. You know, when he's wobbly in any of his like mental, physical, spiritual health, he's feeling off. So he has to always take stock of, is he grounded in that? Is he feeling secure in his value with what he's sharing with your family, with his work, whatever that might be? So
Mhm.
he's really about the building the structure, structural value.
For sure. Yeah. So like when my daughter was born, it was easier and much more aligned for me to stay working nursing because I only had to work 3 days a week, right? So I was like, you're going to be the stay-at-home dad, which was very hard for him. He now cherishes every moment. He did it for 11 years.
Wow.
But he had some value issues with that. Like I'm supposed to be the breadwinner
The
and
provider.
yeah, but then
So,
he found that in being her dad, right? Like
so good.
he changed his whole life. I've shared some of this story before, but I don't know if I've ever told you. So he was morbidly obese and he was 400 and I know his highest weight was 72. The documented one is 68. So he always says 68 pounds. And he lost 250 of it all by
Mhm.
himself. No meds, no surgery, nothing, just diet and exercise. And he did it for her.
Yeah, so it's integrity. So fours are really about that aspect of integrity. So am I integral with how I value things? If I value health, but I'm morbidly obese, am I actually valuing health?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? If I value communication, but I'm a shitty communicator, then am I in integrity in my communication? Am I valuing it actually properly? So they're really here, fours in general are really showing us integrity,
hmm
integrity with that value. Am I really honoring what that is?
hmm
Does
hmm
that make sense?
And that card, your birth card never changes, right?
Your birth
Because
card never changes.
stays
Your
the same.
life path never changes. It is the unfolding every 13 years. Like you start, you birth, and the first 13, 7 and 13 years, you're under the influence of Mercury. And so there's two cards that will usually also play an influence around the lessons that you're going to learn in Mercury. And that's what's really beautiful about this system is that we're a baby, so we aren't really consciously choosing a lot of things. We're developing, we're learning the world, right? Which is super beautiful. But we get to reinvent ourselves at 45 when we are rebirthed back into that same energy that we just lived out for 45 years.
Mm. That's so
And
true. I
and
true.
this is where like the awake, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm having a midlife crisis." I'm like, "No, you're actually just coming into your power zone." For women, it's super crucial time because from 45 to about 52, you're in the last part of Jupiter, really giving to you, learning your blessings, reinventing the belief systems, reiterating what it is to be at this time in this planet because you're going to go through a big transition at 52 and you're going to move from Jupiter into Saturn. And it's really where we watch women stepping into their power zone. This is what we're hearing a lot of right now in like sort of the collective social media land is midlife badass.
Yeah.
And there's a
Awakening. Yeah.
reason for that.
hmm
It's not because we're just going through perimenopause and our bodies are physiologically changing. It's because we're actually tapping into our power zone for the
hmm
first time.
hmm hmm
We're
Yeah.
actually accountable to our energetics for the first time. Whereas before, we were nurturing, we were raising families, we were nurturing ourselves, we were in the active building of life. And now we get to like tap into that power zone
hmm hmm
with the help
Do
of
you
Saturn.
do you work with families?
I love working with families.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you,
some of my
you
favorite actually, because I've worked with about three, four different families, small, medium, and large. And the minute I do a family reading, like I can bring in the parents and I can look at contracts. So like the contract that you as a two of spades has within, your husband as a four of diamonds. What is it that you guys came together for? How do you support each other in this thing that we're choosing to live, which is life, which is this family life?
Mhm.
And then how do we raise our kids according to their actual frequency? It's one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. And the last family I just finished working with last summer, they're having their third. She's like, "Oh my goodness, I can't wait. When she or he is born, I'm gonna get another reading for him to see how we can layer it in to the structure that we already created for them last year."
Oh my gosh, I love this. I want my daughter to meet up. First of all, your personality and hers will jive because she's just such a bubbly. You
Love
won't
it.
see it, but she loves bubbly people.
Oh, good.
And so like yeah, it will light her up. So I'm gonna book in a session with you.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, because even though she's 14, she loves knowing stuff about herself that's positive, right? Like
Yes.
hearing diagnoses or something like that really affect her. And
Yeah.
so, because she thinks there's something wrong with her. But if I tell
Well,
her
that would be the
this,
flip side of the eight, is that it actually is a huge important to understand. Is there for every energetics, there's an empowered side of the energy, one that is supposed to elevate us to move us forward, and then there's a disempowered energy. That's the one that when we stay in that disempowered energetics is when we stay in the loops, when we're not willing to look at the pattern, or we're not willing to look at the lesson that keeps trying to come up. And the universe will just keep putting that lesson in front of you in different ways and different manners until you stop and go, I see what I just did there.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. And the only way I'm going to change that, the only way I'm never going to revisit this lesson is making a conscious choice to do something in a different manner. And like, I know when you're not, the eight of diamonds wants to be seen. I have a really good friend who is an eight of diamonds, and for a long time, she didn't want to be seen. And it was evident, even how she was showing up in her, like, she'd hardly had any social media, but she was trying to build a business. And all of a sudden, this last year, as we reiterate reinventing ourselves, her and I, all of a sudden, she's like, now I'm ready for social media. Now I'm ready to be seen. And it's because of her own timing. And so that's what I love about this as well, is it can really lead to showing us that divine timing. When we're in a rush for things to happen and you're
Mm.
like, wow, this is just not happening very fast. I go back and look at my chart. I'm like, oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not a fast moving energy. I'm personally in my Neptune yearly phase, and I have the Jack of Hearts. And so, to give an example of the Jack of Hearts, is this is one of those cards that doesn't actually even move through the chart. It's always in the same position, but it's here to teach us about Christ consciousness, about understanding how to love ourselves with no condition. Because I truly believe when we still say, I love you unconditionally, there's a condition that's come behind that word. And so I now say, like, I'm learning to love myself with no condition, not even not unconditional, because that's a condition.
Mm, mm, mm.
And that I get to love the time that I sit and eat the cheesies. Like, she chose to eat the cheesy instead of beating myself up, right? Because I was craving something salty. So I ate what I could find instead of beating myself up. That's what my body required. Or right now in my business, it's a little slower. And it's because it's not supposed to be fast in Neptune. This is about dreaming, about the reiteration of what I'm coming into. So the more you stop living by the Gregorian calendar and you live according to your rhythm, that's where this system becomes dynamic.
Mm. Maybe that's where my daughter's disconnect has been because she so desperately wants to live by something. She journals a lot. She just got a new one and she's constantly trying to find her way. So she was like, Mom, I saw this journal, and because it has no date, I think it's going to work really well for me because if I miss a day, it'll be okay, right? And
Yeah.
so I got it for her, of course. And I'm like, how's that going? She's like, really good, and it asks me questions. But I'm wondering if she's searching for a non-Gregorian calendar
She
because,
possibly is.
okay, after this call, we'll book one in.
And don't forget, she's also in her time where Venus will be influencing her.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
so from 0 to like 13, you're in that more Mercury phase of or seasonality of life. So now she's moved into Venus, and Venus is the planet of relationships. It's the planet of love. And so it's like, how do I love myself, but also the relationships that I'm building in this world? She's starting to see that reflection process. It's the second planet that like from the sun. So it's just a little further away from the heat, but it is like, how does it relate? When you think about how Venus is structured, when we lay it out like in a straight line, it's in between Mercury and Earth. What is its magic zone? And
Hmm.
really understanding that. So she's looking at the world right now through relational eyeballs.
100%.
And how do I relate to the calendar? Well, I don't
Mm-hmm.
like this. It doesn't feel natural to me. And
Mm-mm.
especially the younger generation that's already got all this information around astrology, human design, gene keys, all of these beautiful pieces, they're really like, okay, well, how do I relate to the world knowing all of this information?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is so true. So true.
Right. And so she's
Yeah,
probably really trying to tap into her own frequency more and more and more.
for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Okay. Well, on the next show, we're going to be talking about planetary ruler card and its influence on your personality. So if
Yes.
you are enjoying learning this incredible system, which I'm totally enjoying, and I'm booking a call right after this, then definitely like, share, subscribe because Heather will be coming back for some more on our next episode. And so we will see you on the next one.
Yay.